We are live.
All right. We are going to call to order and begin the meeting of the City of Rollingwood Utility Commission meeting for Tuesday, October 6th. First item will be roll call. So I will just call out, I guess I can't see everyone who's connected, but if we'll just say Ronald.
Present.
Phil.
Present.
Chris. And is Clark on?
Yes, I'm present. I can't get my webcam to work.
Right, that's right. And then is William on? Okay.
No, he's not.
Okay, very good. With roll call completed, move on to public comments. Amber, are there any public comments prepared for today?
No public comments. I see William just joined us. I'm going to add him as a panelist. And there aren't any hand raised at this point.
All right. Well, seeing as how there are no public comments, we will move on to the consent agenda. And we have discussion and possible action on the minutes from September 1st, Utility Commission meeting. Everyone has had an opportunity to review those minutes. Would anyone like to make a motion to adopt those and approve? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the September 1st Utility Commission meeting.
I think Christopher may move, but he's muted, I think.
Oh, yeah, I was muted too. I'll second Chris's motion.
How about now?
All right.
Yeah, it
There you
sounds
go.
like you.
So we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 Perfect. That motion passes. Moving on to the regular agenda. Item number 3, discussion and possible action to elect a chair for the Utility Commission.
This item made the agenda. William would like to step down from chair. He's got a little busier schedule, and so he would like to stay on the commission but step down as chair.
Understandable.
So the discussion would be who would be interested. I will have to decline myself. I'm already past my tenure, number of years on the commission, and I did this job for a long time, but it's not too difficult.
In the absence of anyone, I'm happy to volunteer or happy to nominate anyone else.
Jonathan, you have my full support.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll make a motion to elect Jonathan as the new chair of the Utility Commission. That comes to, okay.
So I guess I'll ask for a vote then, to which I can abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I think that motion passed.
Okay. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Will, for doing it. Also.
Yep.
And
Thank
you too,
you,
Clark.
and thank
You
you.
did it forever.
Yeah. Well, thanks for staying on the commission as well, understanding that things are getting busier, so we appreciate that. Moving on to agenda item 4, discussion and possible action to further evaluate and make a recommendation regarding the standby fee option of the wastewater rate study. And I think, as everyone heard, that Annalisa is on the phone. And is there any? Do you have anything prepared to begin discussion, or is this you're here as a resource for us as we continue our discussion to make sure we're understanding the impact and how to best approach this?
Sure, I can happily give you an introduction and discussion of this topic. Effectively, as you know, we talked with the commission and you made recommendations for the city council with regard to wastewater rates. And the commission has adopted and moved forward with those or that planning and adopting a fee. However, the one issue that came up last time we had the opportunity to visit with you is with regard to a standby fee, where we're looking at and addressing one more concern within the city, where you have a certain amount of connections and households and properties that have essentially disconnected from the system, typically homes under construction or tear downs, or the house is sitting vacant waiting for somebody to buy it to tear it down and rebuild, etc. And how to address that equity issue in light of the fact that simultaneously you're absorbing more debt as part of the wastewater rate, and therefore letting those property owners off the hook, if you will, or reducing the amount of debt being paid by those property owners through their taxes. So we talked conceptually last time, but I wanted to give you some numbers today regarding a standby fee. Conceptually, what it would do is that standby fee would take your total debt that you are taking on by the utility and therefore alleviating from the general fund, and dividing that out by the number of LUEs, if you will, or households, essentially, to arrive at a monthly fee. That monthly fee for 2020, and that fee would increase every year as you take on more and more debt every year as part of your wastewater rates. So in 2021, when you're taking on just 15% of debt, that standby fee would be calculated at $13.76 per month per single family household. In 2022, it would be $22.90. 2023, it would be $31.97. 2024, it would be $40.
Oh, I think we lost you. Or it's possible she can't hear me saying we lost you.
Okay.
I'm so tired of doing it.
Amber, do you mind texting her or giving her a shout on her email?
Yeah, we're on it.
Thank you. Conceptually, I understand where she's going. I'm not sure if that's how I necessarily thought about how I mean, it makes sense. I think ultimately we were trying to find a small band-aid just to increase some revenue for those folks that aren't necessarily contributing yet. Although I guess these houses on average, when they're going off, are off for what, 18 months before a full scrape and rebuild.
Oh, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. So I'm thinking paying $40 a month for wastewater you're not using, even though, I guess I understand that we're trying to cover this uncovered debt burden. I'm not sure I was thinking of it being that significant of a billing, but maybe everyone else was. I don't know.
What was the minimum charge of the for a minimum user of wastewater who's, say, I forget what the numbers were for.
That's right. That's kind of where I was thinking more of what is a standard, how do you look at a connection fee or just the standard monthly on a flat rate that we would have had on a typical user that wasn't based on volume?
I'm back. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I apologize for that. Technology is great. I was talking away and I could hear you clearly, but clearly it didn't work that way. So I apologize. So to answer your questions on the base charge, your residential base charge is only $13.07 in 2021. And by 2025, it would grow to $14.71. And that's, again, remember, that's just recovering the cost of utility billing for those customers. The average household would be paying, who's using about 8,000 gallons of wastewater winter average. It starts off at about $75 a month. And then by 2025, compared to the $13.76 standby fee, and in 2025, that would grow to just over $100 a month for a household using 8,000 gallons of usage, compared to about $50.
Gotcha.
I think we lost her again.
Oh no. Are you there?
No, I see it.
Are you there? Hello?
Yes.
We hear you.
Okay, I do not know what's going on here. I apologize. Technology is wonderful if it works. What I had said was that by 2025, you're in the $112 range for an average customer taking 8,000 gallons of wastewater use. And the standby fee would be $49.56 should you adopt it at the same pro rata share of debt rates.
Okay.
In
And
terms
is,
of collect, oh, I was going to quickly just say, in terms of ways you could collect the standby fee, the first way would be to collect a fee where you're billing those households monthly, and you would send them a bill saying wastewater standby fee and the amount of the fee every month. That could become administratively, I don't want to say possibly problematic, because you don't have that wonderful threat that you have currently where you can just shut off somebody's water should they not pay, because the water's not on anyway. That being said, your other potential way to administer that would be to charge a connection fee. In other words, you disconnect, we're going to charge you a fee to reconnect on the system. That fee can either be an average, so say somebody had said an 18-month, if 18 months is the average household off the system, then you can take 18 times whatever that fee is at $13.76, and that's the connection fee. Or you could actually have your ordinance spell out a recalculation. In other words, it's $13.76 for every month you were disconnected from the system, times however many months.
Right.
That would be another way to achieve that, should you want to move forward with that.
Okay. Thank you very much for explaining that. And my only other question, well, not the only other question, my next question would be, for other communities you've seen, and maybe they don't have this, but is this based on what you have seen other communities do, or is this just based on what you would recommend, given what we're trying to accomplish here with our wastewater rates and the additional fees that we're trying to cover by servicing a portion of the debt, et cetera? I doubt very much that I stumped her, so I'm guessing that we're having a
Yeah, you didn't stump her.
technical issue.
You didn't stump her.
Does anyone else have any thoughts as to what? I mean, this is obviously ultimately a mathematical approach to what would not be covered by that house's typical wastewater usage, and what we would anticipate an average household using. Does anyone have any thoughts as to, again, I agree with the approach of houses that are off the system should still be contributing something into a system that is ready and waiting for them to be used and continues to be maintained while they're under construction. I don't know if again, either it could be to this extent where we're going from, a few $100s to several $100s over the course of several years. But anyone have any just thoughts on how this type of fee would be applied, amount, or yeah, Phil?
So I like the idea of having a connection fee prorate for the monthly. Most people or builders who are doing a rehab are not really going to be too fussy if they've got $1,000 bill. If they're off for a very long time, it would get passed on. However, if you start sending monthly bills out, I think that could just get lost. Nobody checks it or anything. This just makes it a little bit cleaner that people know where they stand when they come back on. You have a connection fee, you have a connection charge, and it's calculated by this formula.
Yep. Yeah, I certainly think a one-time fee, it risks having sticker shock, although I don't know how much, again, it could vary. But at the end of the day, that's where you have them, they need to pay it or they don't get water. It seems pretty simple, as long as these fees are clearly communicated in advance.
Yeah.
So expectations upon connecting and turning water on are consistent.
Remind me what we're doing with the water charge during those construction years or months. Do we have a continuing fee for water as well?
Yes, there's a base, a water, I think it's called water demand fee, that it's around $20 a month to have the connection.
So we will be sending them a bill each month then for that. Is that correct?
Only if they have service.
Right, that assumes that they're having service, in which case wouldn't we be charging them for wastewater as well?
Yeah.
So this is just for so there's no, but there was, I guess, Amber, the question sounded like if they have no service at all and the property is being scraped and there's work being done, but they don't have any water service, is there any water fee currently, not a wastewater fee, which is what I guess we're considering?
So when I researched how often this was happening, there's only one property or two properties under construction that didn't have any service connected. So I think the issue is when they're under construction, they likely might be paying for water, but since it takes them over a year to build, they might not have any usage, even though they have an account, or very low usage. And so the winter average is then averaged to zero with the prior way that the winter average was being established.
So with the recommended changes to winter averaging with the minimum, would that address issues where low usage for construction sites would now be captured at a minimum rate?
Melissa, do you want to speak to that? She's on, but I mean, they'd be paying a minimum every month, right? They'd at least be paying that 1,000 gallons for wastewater.
Right.
There are also quite a few homes that don't have accounts. Quite a few properties that don't have an account. So like there's nobody to send a bill to.
Is that because they're on well, or because there's no, it's a site that has it hasn't been sold yet, or it's in process? What is the circumstances from most of those?
It's either under construction, it's vacant, it's just a lot.
Okay.
So
it seems like
there's no name.
There's no name. There's no
There's nobody to send a bill to, right? Because there's not an account set up for the property.
They're paying property taxes.
They are paying property taxes, but now the talk is to take the debt service off the property tax, right? When the debt service was on the property tax, it was getting paid.
Right, but we also need to provide police, fire, everything else. In case somebody gets injured while on the construction site, that's all got to be there. I hate to sound like a broken record on this, and I kind of come the same way every time, in that there's variable cost to wastewater, which we approximate with water usage, and there's fixed costs, and we all benefit from the sewer system, whether you're hooked to it or not. And, you know, I think at least capturing the debt service and the billing service is at a minimum, because when they're ready to hook up, we're ready to hook them up.
Right. The debt
And-
service has been getting caught because it's been on the taxes. So the debt service has been getting paid.
Not anymore, apparently.
Well, right.
But don't we know
With-
through the
with-
property tax bill who the owner is of a certain lot and we can bill them that way?
Sure.
Yes.
But
I thought
So-
that's what you were implying, Chris, on the property taxes, that we have a billable entity if they're paying property taxes, or at least that property would then just have a bill associated with it, and whoever wants to have a hookup will have to clear that before they can get water.
Or they get a lien.
on the taxes, you can. Apparently, it's not easy to do that on a water bill.
Can you all hear me? This is Melissa.
Hey, great.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I apologize. I don't know what the technical difficulty is. I'm hotspotting from my phone now, so hopefully that will help. A couple options there could be to, if the average time a home is disconnected from the system is 18 months, you could take that $13.76 times the 18-month period and charge $247.68 as a reconnection fee in the first year. That would be the cost of disconnecting and reconnecting to the system after you've been off. And then you can go up each year as the proportionate share of debt is being funded through your rates. I would encourage, how often is this, where, you know, are we talking 5 homes or 100 homes that fall into this category, to address how administratively cumbersome you want to address that or make that for your community. Certainly the easiest and the best way to do it, or the easiest and least administratively burdensome way to do it, would be to charge a reconnection fee when somebody disconnects from the system and is off for more than, you know, maybe 2 or 3 months. I think 2 or 3 months would be accounting for homes that are just vacant, being sold, something like that. But then after that, you would have a reconnection fee that would be charged.
Delisa, John asked a question, unfortunately, and you got dropped. What has been your experience?
In looking at other communities, there are other communities that are going to be charging standby fees. Those communities can fall into 2 categories. One category is a community that has lots of vacant lots, perhaps that there aren't any building ordinances or deed restrictions that people buy and hold their lots forever, like a resort community where people are going to buy their lot and maybe not build for years and years and years. That is certainly a circumstance where we'll see standby fees charged. The other circumstance would be communities that you are seeing, and you're less frequent, but communities where their homes being purchased and torn down for a bigger home to be built. But I would say by far the most common circumstance that we see standby fees or essentially a reconnection fee is when you have and the reconnection fee would be a derivative really for the circumstance you're looking at, whereas a standby fee does happen in resort communities.
Well, could we do an actual number of months of disconnect rather than an average number of disconnect?
Of course. I think you can certainly, and I would encourage you to work with your attorney through what that language would look like. But essentially, yes, you could have a calculation in your ordinance that spells out reconnection fees shall be charged to any property based off of the following calculation.
And you're recommending cost of billing, 16 something bucks, and cost of debt service.
For the standby fee, it would be just the cost of debt service because you're not billing the customer that month.
That's right.
Right. So it
Gotcha.
would just be the 1376 times however many months you're disconnected from the system.
There's a lot more than just the debt service that is being accrued, if you will, because the only thing that's really based on the usage is the treatment cost. So we've got a lot of maintenance costs and personnel costs and things like that that go to supporting the wastewater system that are not based on usage.
That's correct. And your current fee structure as currently considered, it's just the utility billing that's in the base charge and everything else is in the usage charge. However, to your point, Councilman Hudson, you do have expenses, a lot of them that are fixed in nature, everything from the maintenance to just full-time personnel standing by waiting to maintain the system. Currently, through your tax structure, you're not recovering those costs from those households anyway. And so the proposal of the standby fees / reconnection fee would be to recover the lost debt service from those connections. From a policy perspective, if the city were to wish to charge and recover some of those additional fixed costs, you could certainly do that. That's absolutely a policy perspective. But the numbers I gave are solely associated with the debt that you would no longer be recovering from your property taxes.
So to me, the simplest thing to do is just to leave the debt service on the taxes, and then it's being paid and we don't have to do anything different.
I disagree. And I think the council disagreed.
Did we not recommend in the last, was the recommended change just the change to winter average?
No.
I thought there was discussion around the vehicle policy as well as a debt burden.
You are
There was.
correct. Yes, basically the council agreed with your recommendations and they just bounced back this issue on the
standby fee.
on that issue.
Okay.
But they did go forward with your other recommendations in terms of having some of the debt be part of your fee structure, having the minimum bill recover your customer costs, and the winter averaging process.
Yep. So all I just see is today we're looking at the standby fee and what we can use that to address. We can look at it as a way to address debt service, which we have supported coming through the water usage, and this would be one way to address that for folks that wouldn't be getting billed. Cash is fungible. You can come up with any number you want to charge for this. You could say it's to pay the taxes. You could say it's to pay variable costs for maintenance. You could say it's to pay whatever you want. Some things are going to get paid for and other things aren't going to get covered by this fee. This is just a way for us to come up with an amount that we think is acceptable. Understanding one, if it potentially covers the cost of the debt and we're okay with that as the basis for the amount of the fee, that is fine. If someone had just said, why not just do $50 a month, and we know that's a standby fee and it's not based on anything mathematical, but we're getting some cash to help cover costs, I would probably have been fine with that too. This is just a different approach, and it's specific to the amount of debt that we already agreed should be serviced through water. So I don't know if the commission would like more time just to think of ways to address this. I think we're all in favor of coming up with something. I don't think there's any fear of not being able to increase it in the future. if we don't think we did it sufficiently, or if we think we're charging too much, cutting back. But again, I don't think this impacts a significant number of homes relative to the overall community on an annual basis. So again, open to guidance from the commission or city council with regard to how, any thoughts on the best way to address the standby fee, whether we do it to debt, whether we try to make it simple. I agree that a single billing makes sense, not a monthly billing, to reduce the burden. And also, by not doing a monthly billing, we don't have to worry about a base fee to cover the cost of billing. So, we got to eliminate that. But again, we want to open it up for any other discussion, or knowing that we're thinking about this, tabling it to the next meeting and having everyone have some more time to think about it, a better approach.
Ron, what do you think? Clark, what do you think?
Well, I agree with what Jonathan said, that we want to have something. I think the debt service amount is a fair way to do it. So I wouldn't object to doing that way. But I don't have another idea.
So
I definitely
Nalisa,
think the reconnection fee, like Phil was saying, was a better way than the monthly billing. I think, Jonathan, like what you're saying about a simple number is much simpler. I think, $50 a month or whatever we decide is simpler, or charge like $1,000 reconnection fee, whatever it is simpler, but it seems more just to do it based on the debt service. It's just more complicated.
Right.
so
I'd be fine
Nalisa, how many accounts are you basing the calculation on?
The calculation is based off of the total debt service divided by the total number of living unit equivalents on the system divided by 12 months.
And what is the total number of living unit equivalents you're using?
I'd have to look that up for you. I don't have that off the top of my head.
So it's possible if it's a disconnected account that it's not capturing the total number of lots or meters that we would potentially have.
Right.
Right. It's the total active connections plus the inactive connections. So if
But
they've
then we
been
did-
on the system, disconnected, and are still disconnected, that's what we would consider an inactive connection. And so
Okay.
that would be the kind of denominator, if you will.
So there's no inclusion of properties that have never had an account.
That's correct. That's correct, because we don't have any way of quantifying that number.
Well,
Currently.
we do, but
And we can certainly add that in. I don't foresee that changing the number materially. It can add, change it by 50 cents or something like that on the monthly amount. But I don't foresee that changing a lot because you're not talking thousands and thousands of empty lots. You're talking, 20 or what the number is. Again, we don't have that perfectly quantified. But part of that would come down to, again, you make the best with the data you have available to you.
so
Now-
if there was a commercial property that came off, you would base the fee based on the number of LUEs that they had for their site?
Yes, ma'am.
In the interest of time, I'm kind of with Jonathan in that where they're just looking for a recommendation. We can always increase it or decrease it as we see what this year brings. And I think the free riding principle has been happening far too long, far too much. And if we're just going to do debt service, I'm willing to come down to just debt service for the actual number of months that your house is offline. And then that will be your reconnect fee, and that will be transparent, and people will understand that. If you do $50, somebody may,
Right.
get a little worked up about it. And I'm down with $50 too, because it's certainly less than that. But this is as a starting point. I think I could get behind this as a starting point.
So is that a motion then?
That's a. What do you think, Ron? What do you think, Phil? What do you think, Clark? What do you think, John?
If we happened to put a number that was too big for whatever mathematical formula, it wouldn't really matter, in my opinion, because it would come out as a washout and it would affect 2022's rate instead of being $22.90 if you'd paid in 2021. Surely that would just come down then.
Well, that brings up a good question. Would we recalculate this every year? Or are we setting the amounts now, assuming we...
Well, I think we haven't been looking at this stuff every year, and it sure feels better when we do, or at least every 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the direction of council to look at water one year and wastewater the next year. So we'll be starting on the water rate look again soon.
Okay.
So, Clark, you want me to make a motion?
Well, I think that would save us some time.
Motion, according to what Jonathan mentioned, I believe, is as a preliminary matter, just for this coming year, that we apply NELISA's debt burden to houses that are disconnected. And we charge it as a reconnect fee, so we don't have to charge them the billing fee.
Okay, I'll second that.
And just for the sake
all in favor? Okay, so just to... I'm sorry, I missed that, Phil. I spoke over you.
just for the sake of clarity, that's a monthly fee for the multiplied by the number of months that the property is off. Okay.
Correct.
So can I point something out real quick before you guys vote? Just to clarify something that you said, Christopher, nobody has been freeloading on the debt service because the debt service has been applied.
They've been freeloading on the debt service. They've been freeloading on the fixed cost of the sewer system while they're off.
Okay. They have been paying for the debt service. And by applying.
And that's over with. Councilmember Hudson, I mean, you're always advocating positions, and I think you're more of a liaison role. Am I wrong?
I'm just, that is true. I was just trying to point out that you are taking a debt service that has been applied to the residents based on the value of their property, and you are now making it an equal value that will be applied based on a number of months and have no relation to the value of the property that's being purchased.
Well, I can't point to any numbers, but any house that's off the sewer system for a while will probably be worth a lot more when it comes back on. That's our new community.
Well, I think as it is, we've made a decision around the property tax, or around the debt burden being serviced through water usage and the water rates. Understanding there are alternate ways of applying a standby fee. We could do it. We could, again, it's focusing on the debt, or you can say based on the potential value of a house. But I think this is one, it's actionable. It's also something we can fall back on when people ask, how are you basing your calculation of this reconnection fee? If my house was off for 2 years while I built, a McMansion, and now I have a $3,000 reconnection fee, we can show them a pretty clear calculation as to there's debt service that goes through your water bill, and this is how we came up with the amount, and this is the number of months you were out, this is the rates, this is how the rate changes every month. So it's not only actionable, but it's defensible. And I think by doing it as a connection fee, it's also doesn't create the administrative burden. And I think that's what was driving the motion. And to get back to that, so the motion that Chris brought up was just that for now this seems, Chris, it was for the 2021 year. You said for the upcoming year. Is that because we're going to revisit it again, Amber, or would we do it until we come up with a new one?
It'd be 2 years because they do water 1 year, sewer the next.
Right.
So it'd be
I'm
through
missing as to why we can't implement it right away.
just as is and let it go. And if we want to change it in 2 years, we can.
Right.
but we'll have something in place that we won't have to, it won't go away. So,
Right. I shouldn't say right away. We're planning to implement the other rates like on or around December 23rd when we start the new billing cycle. So we'll give notice to the community. So that's kind of the process there.
well, so Chris, why don't you reword the motion to not be specific to a time frame as far as how long we'll be doing this, but just base it on the guidance that Melissa has put together for the calculation?
Absolutely. A reconnect fee to be charged when wastewater is reconnected equal to the debt service fee that goes to pay for the pipes that are in the ground that we had to buy and finance. And that will be charged upon reconnection. And it's not specific to the upcoming year. It's whatever council wants to do with all the other things we put in before them and how this fits into the whole puzzle piece that they have to deal with. Did I miss something?
That's pretty close to what we did agree to, but I second that again.
So we have a motion
Just clarify,
seconded.
based on the number of months that a property was disconnected.
Correct.
Right.
Actual number of months. If they have a fast contractor, good on them. I'd like to meet them, but I haven't met them yet.
Amber, do you think you got that? And Ashley, did you guys?
We got it.
Okay. So I think we're agreed on the motion. So that is completed. So all in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
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 And
Aye.
aye. And I'm guessing Will dropped?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. The motion passes. Moving on.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you, Melissa.
folks.
Appreciate your help as always.
Lisa.
I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Thank you very much.
If you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you for the hard work.
Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Moving on to item number 5, the update on the status of the electronic water meeting testing program. I saw that there was some back and forth provided in the packet. Amber, do you want to provide any other update?
I don't have anything additional to add to what was in the packet.
So 10 meters are in the process of being installed, and there will be additional meters. The 5 1-inch meters had to be ordered. They weren't in stock. That's kind of what I read.
I have one of them installed already. And, I have not heard about the software, the connection to monitor it, but it's in the ground now.
I'm on the way.
Great. Well, I certainly look forward to seeing how that pilot program works out. Certainly with the hope of less folks having issues with their water bills, myself included at some point. So if there's nothing else on the agenda,
Can I
I
ask
think,
one question, John?
of course.
Amber, remember, I think it's pushing 6 months now. We talked about the testing and repainting of the fire hydrants.
Yes, we have run into some issues with that. Some of the hydrants were testing at really high pressure, and so we had to put it on pause. We did a big research project into that. Turned out, I think City of Westlake Hills was actually powering that hydrant. So we were able to work that out, started moving on again, and I think we came into another bump in the road. What I will do is I'll get a complete update from David tomorrow, and we'll email out an update to you all as to where we're at.
It just sounded like a great idea because we were so far behind.
It is. We just keep running into some issues. I think the problem is it's been so long since they've been properly exercised, and so we're running into some of that.
And we've only had like one fire in 10 years.
Yeah, we had a structure fire, a minor one, on Inwood about 2 years ago, but we were able to. The fire department was able to put it out quickly.
Yeah, I'm just worried about the pressure that it may impact the truck, and then they can't put out the fire. My old man was a firefighter.
Yeah, as are we.
All right.
Sorry to run long, John.
No, any other comments, questions, or concerns before we adjourn?
No.
I just want to say
No?
thank you, Jonathan, for taking over as the chair.
Oh, so our next meeting will normally be the first
You're welcome.
Tuesday. Next meeting will be the first Tuesday in November. Is that the plan?
If needed, that is the election day. Usually
right.
Rolling has a polling place, and so we try to move those meetings, but we're doing it virtual, and Rollingwood is not going to be a polling place this year.
Okay.
So we could still have the meeting on the 3rd.
Okay.
Is there more to the story than that, Amber?
The polling?
Rollingwood won't be a polling place?
I'm not sure what's going on. We weren't officially noticed. Go ahead, Ashley.
Oh, I was gonna say, I did speak to them and they were supposed to come check out Rollingwood. I think we are a little bit small of a space and they were worried about being able to maintain, adequate social distance. And we also don't have an entry and an exit that are both ADA. They would have to
It's completely understandable.
go out the same door. So they were just, they were going to keep us on the back burner and let us know. And we didn't end up hearing from them, so I'm assuming they got enough polling places. So.
Well, it's Hill Country Middle School.
It worked out really well for me last time.
And we'll be sending out an update to let everybody know that, and try to find our closest polling places and let everybody know about them.
Thank you, Amber and Ashley and John, for taking over. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Of course. And thank you, everyone, for joining your participation today. Appreciate it. And we look forward to the next meeting.
Okay.
And
Thank
with
you.
that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Night.
night.